With the Maverick situation getting no better, it is about time, and everybody has accepted that moving off of Anthony Davis, even though traded for him by trading away Luka, now you've kind of gotten to this point where it's just best to trade off of him. He's not available. He's not making the team any better. Offensively, that team is historically bad. I mean, offensively, right? But it's just that time. You got to cut your losses and say, hey, look, Nico Harrison, we let him go. We're going to accept the fact that he fucked us over, and we're going to go ahead and start moving forward. So, with that being said, now that includes Toronto, the Hawks, and the Pistons are now the three teams who are included in these trade talks and the ones who have like the better package, right? And I just want to start off with the Raptors real quick by pushing them off to the side because I don't think it's going to fit at all. I don't think the trade package is nice enough because, yeah, the contract situation works, but why would the Mavs want like a RJ Barrett or a Jakob Poeltl? Why would they want that type of player when you're trading away Anthony Davis, right? You're looking at some young stars, some picks. Like, I wouldn't, as a Mavs GM, as a Mavs team, why would I want anybody from the Raptors squad besides Scotty Barnes, which they're not going to give away? And also, we got to take into consideration that this team is not going to be the team that Anthony Davis would want to sign an extension with. It just doesn't make sense for him to stay the rest of his career there. So, with that being out of the way, it comes down to Detroit and the Hawks. Detroit defensively would be amazing because at first I was thinking, well, they're already the first seed in the East, and while it is somewhat early, right, about 25% into the season, they're doing pretty good offensively, defensively. Cade's cooking. That two man with him and Jalen Duren, it looks great. Sorry, Thompson defensively. If you look at the defensive standpoint, it would look beautiful, but I just wasn't sure what teams or like who they would trade away for Anthony Davis. Then I realized that Tobias Harris is a huge contract tied to his name, and if you just compact him with Jaden Ivey, which would be the young star that the Mavs would be wanting to acquire, then it would make sense because Jaden Ivey hasn't been the biggest piece of that puzzle right now, and they've been cooking without him because if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't started. He's just been coming back from injury, trying to get back on his feet. And Tobias Harris, I mean, 80 for Tobias Harris, yeah, I'm taking it 100% of the time. And the reason why I was so worried about it is because you're going to have Anthony Davis injury problems like how the Mavs do. Because the Mavs would be better if AD was playing all of the games, but he's just not. He's played less games than Cooper Flag. And it's not something that a lot of teams want to really take care of. And Detroit, if you give away Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris, then yeah, I would take that risk because the upside is huge while you're losing just Jaden Ivey and Tobias Harris. So defensively, you look at that AD, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna be amazing. But offensively, it's just Cade. And you get rid of that secondary ball handler that could be Jaden Ivey with great potential. So when you're giving that away, your offense gets somewhat limited. On top of that, I don't like the spacing between the Jalen Duren, Anthony Davis, and Asar Thompson lineup. Like I feel like there'd be no spacing at all, right? And then you're fully relying on, like I said, Cade Cunningham. But defensively, it would be a monster. I just feel like I don't really know if I like that lineup too much, unless you end up getting another shooter. But that's the thing. I feel like the Pistons might be better off just trying to fill out some great 3 and D guys around that core that they already have and another ball handler, or just try to really pursue Jaden Ivey and make him that secondary ball handler you want him to be. Now this kind of puts us at the Hawks. This is where we get to the Hawks, right? And the Hawks are somewhat interesting in the aspect of this might be their last chance with Trae Young. They already didn't agree on an extension last season, and this can just potentially lead to them parting ways. And with them doing amazing without Trae Young on the floor, it's kind of getting to that point where you're like, well, if we're doing this good without him, and when he comes back, he's just a minus on defense, then what's the point of keeping him around? You might start like shopping around. And at first, I'm looking at the Hawks and I'm like, why would I try to get AD if Trae Young is already dealing with injuries? Why would I want to get AD who's already dealing with injuries? But then I realized they have Kristaps who's already dealing with injuries, and that's part of the package. And they do have the former first overall pick in Zachary Risachet. Now, this package of Zachary Risachet and Kristaps does look much more enticing than the other packages, right? Because you can add the fact that Kristaps Porzingis' contract, it's an expiring contract, and that's going to give them a lot more flexibility for the future financially to build around Cooper Flag. And that, at the end of the day, is the whole reason as to why you're trading Anthony Davis, and why in the direction that you're looking at now with the Mavs is let's build around Cooper Flag. And let's not do the same mistake we do with Luka. So you trade AD away, you get Zachary Risachet, former first overall pick, and you get an expiring contract to give you a lot more cap flexibility for the future. That sounds like honestly one of the best trade offers you're gonna get, because then for the Hawks side, you get AD, a great pick and roll threat with the, Trae Young. The lineup fits perfectly because Onyeka Okongwu's already shooting threes pretty well at a decent clip next to AD, and don't even get me started on Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. I mean, that lineup with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and all these players that they've added just fits so much better. The problem is, can they stay healthy? And that's the same problem we have every time AD goes to a new team. It's just constant injury issues. And that at the end of the day is where the biggest question lies, because I feel like, yes, it is a lot of pressure on Trae Young, because now it's like, all right, we gave you a team. You have a team. It's you, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, and Anthony Davis. You need to do your part. And while, yeah, a good majority is going to land on him like that, it is also like, well, if they're all injured, like AD and Trae Young all the time, it's just not going to be possible. But it is like the reason why it's probably going to happen is because it makes the most sense from all the packages they can get from any other team, because it's not like AD trade talks are that high. People know how injury prone he is. You get good value back. The Hawks get one of the best assets they can get. I don't see them getting a better asset, and it's the one that's most likely going to happen. But is it going to pan out? I really don't think so. I genuinely do not think that the Hawks, whether they make the move or not, are going to work. I think in the next year or two, they're going to move off of Trae Young, and if they get AD, they might move off of him in the next couple of years, or maybe he ends up staying there. But I don't see Trae Young in the Atlanta Hawks future. But I don't know. We're going to have to see, because it all just lies on injuries. If they're all healthy, I do think they can make a finals push, and I do genuinely believe that. But we just got to wait and see. But thank you guys for watching. Please like if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this. I'm just talking about basketball every single day, watching, posting maybe 3-4 times a week. But I'll see you in the next one. Peace.